What's going on, y'all? It's your boy No Credit, and I'm back again with another one. I need you guys to do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon for more videos like this. That being said, let's get into it. So Vasyl Lomachenko is back on the radar again after stopping George Kambosos in the 11th round in his hometown of Australia. George Kambosos has never been stopped before, but he gets stopped by Vasyl Lomachenko, who becomes the first man to stop George, and he stops George to the body, or he stopped George via his corner thrown in a towel, because as he was dropping George, his corner threw in the towel. Anyway, Gervonta Tank Davis says he's interested in finally fighting Vasyl Lomachenko. This is great news, guys. Great news. We wanted to see this fight for years. Floyd Mayweather said, Vasyl Lomachenko is old. He doesn't need to fight Gervonta right now. He has to rush his career. Gervonta needs to keep doing. Tank, don't let these people force you into fighting anybody. Keep doing what you're doing. It will be Vasyl Lomachenko down the line. That was ridiculous. They should have been fought. I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, Vasyl Lomachenko versus Shakur Stevenson. I keep hearing news about this, but Shakur Stevenson recently said something about Bob Arum losing his company, so I'm not sure if we're really going to get this fight. But it would be a very interesting fight. We know Vasyl Lomachenko is a great counterpuncher. We know Shakur Stevenson has the best defense in the sport of boxing. And he's a very good offensive fighter as well, if he chooses to. You know, I watched Shakur versus Jamel Herring, and that was the greatest fight I've seen from Shakur so far. But Gervonta versus Vasyl Lomachenko, man, is very action-packed fight that we wanted to see for years and years. Gervonta 29-0, 27 KOs. Vasyl Lomachenko 18 wins, 3 losses, and 12 of those wins by knockout. Man, so I'm very interested in either one, but I think most fans will be more interested in Gervonta versus Vasyl Lomachenko. That would sell a lot. That would sell similar to Gervonta versus Ryan Garcia. You know, because, you know, Vasyl Lomachenko has made a name for himself. But this is what Gervonta had to say. He says, after Frank, let me get Frank first. Because somebody posted this, and it was like, Gervonta would never fight Vasyl Lomachenko. Some dude named DH, and he didn't expect Gervonta to reply to him. That's funny as shit. He says Gervonta would never fight Vasyl Lomachenko. And shockingly, Gervonta jumped right on him. It says he's after Frank. Let me get Frank first. That's great. I like that. You know, this shows that the lightweight division is the best division in the sport of boxing. Everybody's fighting everybody. A lot of upset wins, a lot of shockers. You know, we seen Lomo get upsetted versus Teo. We seen Ryan upset Devin. We seen a lot of shit in the lightweight division. But there's more to come. I'm pretty sure there's more to come. Will Vasyl Lomachenko be able to unify? He could either unify versus Tank, or he could unify versus Shakur Stevenson. Either guy is a unification fight, which makes the lightweight division the best division in the sport of boxing. Think about it. Vasyl Lomachenko fights Devin Haney. Fights Shakur Stevenson. That's a unification fight. Shakur Stevenson is the WBC champion right now. Shakur Stevenson, yeah, he's the WBC champion right now. Vasyl Lomachenko versus Gervonta Davis, he's the WBA super champion right now. Either fight is great for the sport of boxing. you know. So I'm eager to see either fight, guys, but Shakur don't seem confident that he's gonna get Vasyl Lomachenko. Gervonta seems confident that he's gonna get it. And we know Gervonta being one of the biggest draws in the sport of boxing, whatever he wants, he gets. Let's be real. So, if Gervonta is a man of his word, we're definitely going to get a unification fight between Gervonta and Vasyl Lomachenko, because he says Lomachenko is next. And actually, guys, I'm excited for that fight. I'm excited because I want to see if Gervonta could be the first guy to stop Vasyl Lomachenko. We know he's going to win, but we want to know if he's going to win by knockout. That's what we want to know. Can he win by knockout? But anyway, let me talk a little bit about the fight, Vasyl Lomachenko versus George Kambosos. George Kambosos started fast in the first round. The first 30 seconds of the fight. He came out with a nice little jab. It looked like he was almost trying to imitate what Devin Haney did. And he tried going to Vasyl Lomachenko's body. I'm like, George, this is not how you fight. Don't do it, buddy. And he fell for the trap. We know that Devin Haney versus Vasyl Lomachenko was a very close fight because of the fight Devin Haney fought. That's not how Devin Haney always fights. Devin Haney doesn't go to the body as much as he did against Vasyl Lomachenko. That's why the fight was a lot closer. He should have fought how he been fighting, with his jab. But he tried to fight Vasyl Lomachenko, which was a good strategy, but it made the fight even closer. So George Kambosos tried to do that, and Vasyl Lomachenko turned the tides because he started fast. He started walking George down because George had no pop. George couldn't hurt Vasyl Lomachenko. But if Vasyl Lomachenko fights a guy like Gervonta Davis, it would be a different story, because we know Gervonta is the biggest puncher in those lower weight classes. So Vasyl Lomachenko will have to respect Gervonta Davis' power, like he respected Teofimo Lopez's power. If we go back and watch Vasyl Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez, it took Vasyl Lomachenko like damn near 7 rounds to get started. Let's say 6. It took him 6 rounds to get started, right? That's not a good look. Why would you take 6 rounds to get started? You know, that's a lose-lose situation. But against this guy, George Kambosos, he started fast because once he felt George Kambosos' power, and George Kambosos couldn't do nothing to him, couldn't intimidate him, couldn't push him back, he like, I got him. I'm about to beat the shit out of this guy in his hometown. And that's when Vasyl Lomachenko went to work. I didn't like I said, I didn't like George Kambosos' game plan. He tried to counter the counterpuncher. Vasyl Lomachenko is a much better counterpuncher. You know, there's a saying in boxing, you don't hook with the hooker. You know, there's certain stuff you don't do. If we already know a guy is better than you at doing that, and George Kambosos learned the hard way, you can't counterpunch a guy who's one of the best counterpunchers in the sport of boxing. This guy is an extremely great counterpuncher. I mean, look at his amateur record. You know, we know amateur boxing is all about scoring points. If he wins all of those amateur fights and he only has one loss, that means this guy is an extremely gifted counterpuncher. So you can't counterpunch him. You will have to go towards him unless you have elite level talent like a Shakur Stevenson. Then you could counter Vasyl Lomachenko or a Gervonta Davis, who has the power, the speed, and been boxing since he was a little kid as well. But anyway, this is my DMs on Instagram. This guy jumped in my DM before the fight. He says, "Bless him, bro. I seen the comment you was saying you make thousands every week in betting. Who you got winning, Loma or Kambosos?" I said, Loma beats Kambosos either late TKO or on points. Unanimous decision means on points. He says, "I tight, bro." I think he meant to say thanks. But he says, "I tight, bro. I'm going to check in with you on the next one, too." I gave him free game, because the guy probably wanted to make a couple dollars. So I gave him some free game. And you got to listen to his response when the fight was happening. I fell asleep when the fight was happening. This is his response when the fight was happening. He says, "Here we go, gang. For some reason, I feel like Kambosos gonna win, but let's see what happens." Then he says, "Nah, never mind. Haha, 2 rounds in, Lomo got this." He says, "You're right, late rounds." He says, 4 rounds down, I think you're right about the TKO stoppage as well. Don't think it's going to the cards." He says, "Holy F, bro. You was goddamn right. Lomo knocked him out, body shot, 11 rounds. I'm listening to you every time." Oh, man, that's funny. But yeah, he said, "I'm listening to you every time." But I was like, yeah, I finally replied to him because I fell asleep. I said, yeah, I pick late because he's never been stopped before, so either late TKO or decision. I was talking about George Kambosos. In a fight like that, where a guy never been stopped before, you have to pick. If you feel like it's going to be a knockout, you have to pick a late stoppage, because a guy who's never been knocked out before, he's going to come to fight. Unless he's an MMA fighter, like, for instance, Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua, then that's a different story. But when it's boxing, a guy who's never been knocked out before, you got to give the guy a little bit of a benefit of the doubt that he has a very good chin. So you got to say late TKO or unanimous decision. And like I said, I was on point. So I hope that guy made some money. Shakur Stevenson had this to say, though, about the Vasyl Lomachenko fight. He says, "Bob don't got to say no more." Whoa, what do he mean by that? They just letting him believe he run it, but they taking over his company behind the scenes. Bunch of sharks who don't really fuck with Bob like that. Whoa, so it looks like Shakur Stevenson has some insiders that Bob Arum himself doesn't even know, which is crazy, guys, which is crazy. So, according to Shakur Stevenson, he feels like there are some people behind the scenes trying to steal Bob Arum's company. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. That's the wildest thing I've ever seen. But, Gervonta Davis says he's ready to fight Vasyl Lomachenko, which is great, man. I want to see this fight. Like I said before, I want to see this fight. So, Gervonta says after he get past Frank, Vasyl Lomachenko is next. Hopefully, Gervonta Davis lives up to his words, since Shakur Stevenson is saying Bob don't run his company anymore. There are people behind the scenes that are sharks and taking over Bob Arum's company. I don't know what Shakur means by that, but we'll see. Hey, yo, that's the craziest thing I've ever read. Like, you guys gotta be like, what is Shakur talking about? Maybe he's on to something, though. Maybe he is. But anyway, shout out to Vasyl Lomachenko for putting on a show and becoming a champion again. And hopefully we get to see a fight between him and Gervonta Davis. It's your boy, No Credit, I'm out.